Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. Today we are going to be discussing my current main class post 30th anniversary update, which is Top Tree Nova Bomb, or better known as Attunement of Chaos, with the Axiom Bolt Grenade. Weird choice, I know. I have two different builds for you today that I think are quite good, though I personally think one is better than the other. I don't think either of these builds has a place in endgame PvE right now. Depending on the changes we get in Void 3.0, I think either one could bring some real chaos to the PvE meta. PvE meta right now is mostly about survivability or really strong ag clear. Void is still very solo based, and though I think this class is quite good, I don't think it's quite there yet. I think with some changes we might get in Void 3.0, and depending on how certain attributes we get with the Void element as a whole could really affect how this class plays in Witch Queen. Let's go ahead and hop into our first build, which is going to start from top as usual with our helmet. Our helmet of choice and exotic today is going to be Verity's Brow. Verity's Brow is severely underrated warlock exotic that comes with the exotic perk, the fourth magic, which says, weapon final blows with a damage type matching your subclass energy grant death throws, which is a buff that pops up on the side of your screen when you get an energy weapon kill from the energy type that matches your subclass. So if you're on Void, you can need a Void kill. If you're on Solar, you need a Solar kill. Stasis, you need a Stasis kill. So forth, so on and so forth. When you have death throws and throw a grenade, nearby allies gain increased grenade regeneration or for a short time. It also gives you an increased your own grenade damage and your own grenade recharge rate. It also does scale based off of your total discipline, so if you're at 100 discipline, your grenade will come back faster. This exotic perk is really good, as I've already stated, and if you can manage to keep death throws, the buff on the side of your screen, on your screen, this is going to give you more overall grenade energy than the build I have coming up. But I do not think this is consistent because you have to make sure you are getting kills with an energy primary. And therefore, I think the other build is more consistent. The other mods I have on the helmet today are Ashes to Assets and a copy of Well of Ordnance. Well of Ordnance will give you about 5% of your grenade when you pick up one singular solar elemental well. Next up are the arms. I have these set to stasis for the main purpose of grenade kickstart to help give me back a little bit more grenade energy to help make this closer to the second build. I also have an elemental time dilation on here, which will make more sense once we head into the class item. Third, I have our chest piece. I currently have our chest piece set to solar for the purpose of Bountiful Wells. Bountiful Wells will help give us 2 elemental wells here, which will serve 2 purposes. Next up, I have our boots. Our boots are once again set to solar. My preferred affinity for boots because of recuperation, which I believe is a very broken mod, though it's getting a slight nerf due to gameplay changes we are getting. I have it set there for Explosive Wellmaker, so that way when the bloom effect of the class, which happens when you get a Void melee or a Void grenade kill, it will cause damage to the enemy and kill them, and when they die, they explode and will damage or kill nearby enemies. And when that explosion gets a kill, it will give you 2 elemental wells because of Bountiful Wells on our chest piece, 2 solar ones, which will then feed into our class item and our helmet. Our helmet has a copy of Well of Ordnance, and our class item has a copy of Well of Life to help us give us constant health regen and some grenade energy. I also have, for the next 30 days, Particle Deconstruction on the class item. Alright, that's all for the first build. A couple things I just want to throw out there when you're on this first build. Get a kinetic weapon with Osmosis for this season right now. If you have the Judgment with the Osmosis demo roll from the Prophecy Dungeon, you can run that. There's a couple other primaries in the game that run Osmosis. I don't know all of them. I've looked over Osmosis until recently. Osmosis is quite good though. If you don't have Judgment and you have Traveler's Chosen plus its Catalyst, I would highly recommend running it because I think it's probably the better choice if you don't need to run an exotic anywhere else for some reason. Next up, we have our second build, which, though may be total less grenade energy, I think it's far more consistent and has far more use long-term inside of endgame content inside of Destiny 2. First up, the helmet is just a legendary helmet with Solar Affinity with 2 copies of Ashes to Assets, and this time a copy of Bountiful Wells. Next up, we have our exotic gauntlets the Controverse holds, which has the exotic perk Chaotic Exchanger. This perk reads, resist incoming damage while charging your void grenade. Charged void grenades return an amount of grenade energy on hit. It's roughly 50%, which is more than even a double grenade kickstart will give you. I currently have these set to void, mostly for Well of Tenacity. I don't have anywhere else where I can really run void due to the rest of the slots being taken, so I currently have them set here for Well of Tenacity. As many of you know, becoming charged with light is going to be significantly harder once Season 16 comes out. And to make up for that, I have put Well of Tenacity on here because the 15% damage reduction may not be that of Protective Light, but if you stack it on top of Will of Life, as I do in this build here, your survivability is still quite high. I also have 2 copies of Controlled Demolition to help get my Rift, though these are very interchangeable with champion mods if you wish to run this in medium content where there are champions. Legend, Master, Nightfalls, even if you're on light, I would say the Master Dungeon is not super hard content. Just if you want to run this build and you need to run champion mods, this build has the space for it. The other build did too, but I don't think I'd run it in hard content because you're gonna not be able to keep death throws on your screen enough. Alright, we're gonna head down to the chess piece, and I have mine currently set to Arc, though this is completely interchangeable because all I have on here is an Elemental Ordnance, and then I have my stat changing mod to help me get to 100. You can change this to any affinity you need based on the activity. If you need to be on Void Concussive for something like the Ogre encounter and Grasp of Avarice, if you need to be on Solar and Concussive Dampener to help live through something, the Corrupted Nightfall like we had last week, or this week since it's currently Monday. Or if you need to be an Arc because you're playing Exodus Crash, where his build actually would work probably okay at a Nightfall like Exodus Crash. This build has options for you to run whatever you may need. Next up, I have the boots, which are set to the same exact affinity and mods as the last build. They are Solar with Explosive Well Maker for the main purpose of creating solar wells when the bloom effect takes effect, just as last time, once again for the purpose of giving me Well of Life, which will help give me regen if I push up far. I can play up close and kind of mixy while having constant health regen. Also, on the class item, I have Particle Deconstruction once again for the rest of the season. Particle Deconstruction is obviously a must-have. That is all I really have for you on the builds. I'm just gonna once again recommend that on the first one you run something like a Osmosis kinetic weapon. If you have a legendary one, feel more than free to run a legendary one. If you don't have a legendary one, Traveler's Chosen plus its catalyst, which you can get that catalyst from any activity, any playlist activity in the game. And and it will give you osmosis on it once you complete it, along with giving it full auto. The second build, your weapon choice doesn't really matter. As you can see here, I'm just running a Subsistence Rampage Extraordinary Edition, which is from my top 10 kinetic weapons video, which if you haven't watched yet, you should go watch. I also have, obviously, the God Roll Cartesian Coordinate on, and I have a Lament or a Speed Sword, a Neager Edge Sword, whichever one. I prefer swords for most content because either I can skate with them or I can do damage with something like Lament. That's all I really have for you for today. These two builds are both really good in their own right. I think the Controverse Hold build is much better for long-term gameplay. I think it does serve a place even now. I think you could make it work in in-game content. I think there are places where enemies are bunched up enough where it does kill the ads fast enough and quick enough where you could probably warrant running it. But these builds have a very high chance of becoming nearly broken in 30 days. Once we get Void 3.0, I will be reviewing them and breaking all three Void 3.0s down and recommending builds throughout Season 16 to experiment with as Season 16 progresses. That is all I really have for you. But the last thing before you guys go and before I go, I just want to thank everybody for the support. I never thought I would have a video over 100 views, let alone I have multiple videos over 100 views. I've gained 2 subscribers and have had great growth over my first month. I hope this continues going into the future. I'm going to keep grinding and keep pumping out the content I have been. I will see all of you on Wednesday after you like and subscribe to this video for a brand new Titan build. See you all then. Thank you all for watching. And I'm going to let a little bit of gameplay play out for you all to enjoy. Thank you, and bye-bye.